Which of these two recipes is going to sound more tempting to you? French crepes or Romanian apple pancakes? Of these two, I know which one you already have an idea of and most certainly have had some French crepes before. But you probably haven't had Romanian apple pancakes before. They tend to be very specific to my region in Romania, in Western Romania, and we prepared these both in my family as I was growing up. They were quite the regular treat, and I've learned how to cook them from both my mom and my grandmother. It's very intuitive cooking, not by a written recipe, and I want to share that with you today for a bit of culinary diversity, culinary fun, and sharing my culture with you. Welcome to my channel. My name is Catalina George. I am a writer and a vlogger, and here I publish vlogs about lifestyle, about my Romanian heritage, as you might have already guessed if you're new here, and also about traveling. But right now, traveling tends to be a little bit of an issue around the world because of this ongoing pandemic. In the future, though, I'll bring you more video from where I will travel again in the UK and across the world. So far I have had vlogs about Iceland, Malaga, Bucharest and so on. We'll see more of those in the future. But right now we are going to have a little bit of fun trying these recipes that, as I said, are very, very intuitive, and I hope they will come across really well in this vlog. As I've already mentioned, both my mom and my nana used to make these recipes as a family treat, and they bring really fond memories from my childhood, and not only even further on as a teenager and even further on, because especially my nana, whom I used to live with since the age of 8, going to school in the city where my grandparents lived, as opposed to my parents living in the countryside, she always treated me. She'd always be like, what would you fancy nice to eat today or this weekend? Yeah, and Nana loved food as well, so her loving food and treating me to nice food just went hand in hand. Okay, so should we talk first about how I make French crepes, just as I learned it from Nana, more than from my mom. From my mom, I learned the Romanian apple pancakes. Let's crack on and talk about French crepes to start with. How do you cook then French crepes, Catalina family style? As I said, I've learned these recipes from my nana and my mom, and you know, when you learn how to cook from your very close relatives, there isn't a cookbook and there aren't like clear quantities and all the measurings and all of that, because you learn very intuitively. That is how I've learned these recipes and how I am going to share them with you, and hope you're going to have fun with all of this. What I've learned from my nana then, how you make French crepes, is, yes, you start by the ingredients. You need the just white, plain, strong flour. You need eggs, milk, maybe a bit of water to thin it out more at the end to get the right consistency and texture, and a bit of salt, bit of sugar, and that is pretty much it. Of course, oil for frying. So when I cooked French crepes this week, for all of the b-roll that you're going to see here, I first sifted the flour. That is one thing that my nana used to say, you always have to sift the flour, because you don't want clumps in your French crepes dough. You want it nice and smooth, and the way to achieve that is by sifting the flour. You sift the flour and you choose how many eggs you want in your dough, in your batter rather. So how many eggs you want in your batter, it only depends on how much you like eggs. For example, my partner Adrian doesn't like eggs. I love eggs, so I chose to put 2 eggs in my batter for the French crepes this week. And they did come out a little bit eggy, but I love that, and I love the color, the more warm color that more eggs bring to the texture, to the mixture. Then you add the eggs, you add the milk, little by little, and you mix the flour, the eggs and the milk until it gets really smooth and you don't have any clumps in the whole batter. I do add water as well, and oil. I do add a little bit of oil in the mixture just because it helps it fry a little bit better once you get to the next step. How do you get it to the right consistency now? Again, very, very intuitively. You want it to be liquid, but not too liquid. You want it to flow, but the way that I test the consistency is by using a ladder, and I just fill it up and pour it. And it needs to make a little bit of a well down in the batter in your bowl, not drip, and feel that there is a little bit of a weight to the whole ladder filled with the batter. So if it drips, it's too watery. If it just doesn't, if it ripples on the surface of the batter in your bowl, it's too watery. If it just flows with a little bit of heaviness to it, and it makes a little bit of a well down there where it reaches the rest of the batter, then it is the right consistency. Salt and sugar, it's again up to your taste. Adrian again doesn't really like much salt in it, and for sweetening in my pancakes, my crepes, my French crepes and pancakes, I tend to use my sweetener, my stevia sweetener, because I just know from what I've researched, and I completely believe that it is healthier. Now, once you've got the batter, the right consistency, my favorite part in preparing French crepes comes, which is frying them. I remember since my childhood I was quite fascinated about the whole process. First, Nana would oil the pan, just gently oil it, then filling the ladder to the brim with the batter. Then obviously the pan needs to be really hot. I test how hot the pan is by just dipping my finger into the batter and just sprinkling a little bit into the pan, and if it starts to sizzle, then it is hot enough. So yeah, fill the ladder, pour it in the very hot and oiled frying pan, and then you swirl it all around so that the batter just covers the whole surface of the frying pan, and there it is. The French crepe is starting to cook. It was always a little bit of magic since I was a child to see this. Don't expect me to be flipping crepes around and throw them up into the air and then catch them again with a frying pan. I have not got that skill, but still, what I use is just a kitchen tool, flip it around, see how it caught all of that nice brownness on the first surface of the crepe that's got fried, and then chuck it when it's done in a plate by the hob, and repeat again until you have a nice stash even of French crepes to enjoy to your delight. I really remember being around my Nana in the kitchen when she used to make me French crepes, and I had a little bit of a ritual. The first one that got out of the frying pan, I will start to eat it just like that, without any feeling, just enjoying the very, very fresh and still very warm French crepe. And I would I had a ritual in how I approached and attacked the pancake. So I would first break the rim because it had a different texture, the rim of it tends to be a little bit crispier. So I started with that, and then I would just break little bits of the whole pancake and enjoy it like that. Some of my favorite fillings as I was growing up were honey, strawberry, all sorts of different jams, because my nana and my mom used to make their own jams and preserves. Sour cherry, oh my god, my mom's sour cherry jams, nothing like that ever in the world since or after. Now when I made them this week for myself, I had some bananas that were going quite brown now. They were still really good, but they needed eating. So I chopped the bananas up. Then I bought some really nice chocolate and hazelnut spread. I love the mixture. Chocolate and nuts, oh my god, that is one of my favorite tastes in the world. Naughty, indulging tastes. Then I had some raspberry jam as well, and just indulged in them. One more little detail from my childhood that is quite fun is that Nana used some very special tool to oil the frying pan. She had like a big goose feather that was obviously very clean, and that was her tool that she used to oil the frying pan and also baking trays as well. I don't know why, it was just probably a very traditional method. And I was quite fascinated with the goose feather as well. Romanian apple pancakes, on the other hand, are not all that different to French crepes or even to American pancakes, because the only difference is the batter consistency, which is more like the American pancakes texture, which is just thicker. And that is the main difference, besides obviously adding the actual apples to the batter. So if you repeat what we talked about when making French crepes, Catalina family style, but keep the batter a little bit thicker, where it has a lot of more heaviness to it. Again, you put how many eggs you want to have in it. Well, okay, not too many, because then you will make kind of an omelette with flour in it. And you grate apples so that the batter is filled with apples, but there are not too many apples inside. And I grate the apple on the bigger grater, because you need to be able to feel the texture of the apple inside the finally cooked and fried pancakes. And I don't peel apples, because generally speaking, where you can keep the peel of the fruit or the vegetable, they are filled with fiber and other good nutrients. So unless you have a difficulty with the fact that the skin of the apple is a little bit harder and might affect your gums, or you just don't like it, then just peel them. It's your preference, but I keep the peel. And I do sometimes add also cinnamon. I also add sometimes vanilla, depends on what I'm feeling like on the day, just to boost the flavor of these Romanian apple pancakes. And then with the thicker batter, we again get to the favorite part, which is frying them. The way that my mom and my nana used to fry them is just, again, use now, because the batter is thicker, we don't use the ladle, we just use the a spoon, a bigger spoon, like one of the cooking spoons, and just form just random shapes, round, oval, whatever you feel like, in the frying pan. Not too big, because they are heavy, so they will break if you make them too big. Just make these shapes, fry them up, turn them around, and that's it. Now again, I've got a little bit of a favorite way to eat this, which is, drum roll, da-da-da-da-da-dum. I use maple syrup on them. It just enhances the whole flavor, and they are just so yum, so delicious. There we go. There is a very simple Romanian recipe. Just like a lot of traditional cooking, it uses very staple ingredients that most households would have around: flour, eggs, apples from the orchard or from the garden, and that is pretty much it. As you've probably realized, cooking together and learning recipes from both my nana and my mom have been a really big part of me growing up in Romania, family traditions, and a big part of our culture. Food and the way that people cook and all of the different recipes are a huge part of everybody's culture that I think by sharing with each other will bring us more together in joy, in things that we can enjoy together rather than things that set us apart. And when I moved here to the UK, I learned a lot about the local food here and ways of cooking. For example, I was quite surprised to learn that English sausages are never smoked, or that they usually don't have paprika in them, which was very different to the smoked, almost to the point where they pretty dry sausages that always have paprika and garlic back in Romania. And yeah, I love the Welsh barabrit. I love Scottish haggis, which I had for the first time on my very first Robbie Burns night in 2019, and that is going to become an event that I'm going to do regularly. Poetry and food, what's not to like about it? Now also, because I love cooking, you can find a lot more photos about and cooking ideas both on my Twitter and on my Instagram. On Instagram I'm present as Land Inside. I'll continue sharing these things, so go and follow me there as well. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. Also, share your favorite recipes with me. Just tell me what they were when you were growing up and your family cooked these treats for you. Just share them down in the comment section, and also hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel for further such videos to come your way. And that just leaves me to say thank you for watching. I hope you had just as much fun as I did sharing these with you. And until next time then, ciao for now.